Hi there, and welcome to my Brain Health Cooking Kitchen. I'm Diana Liz, and today I am answering a challenge to one of my subscribers who asked me to create a brain healthy pizza. It is so easy to do, you won't believe it. So, there are lots of explanations about the why. So, I'm going to create the pizza. And for those of you that are interested in why for the selections, I will then explain them. As you see, I have 4 books. I have Deep Nutrition by Catherine Shanahan, which is one of my favorites, and The End of Alzheimer's, Protocol for Reversing Cognitive Decline and Preventing Alzheimer's, the Terry Walls Protocol for MS, and where I started my journey with Dr. David Perlmutter and Grain Brain. And he has a lot to say about gluten. So let's get started. First of all, the recipe calls for 2 cups of almond flour. There's the second one. And the oven is preheating at 350. The next ingredient is 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. And it's important that you measure it if it's solid and then let it melt. 1/4 of a teaspoon salt and 2 pastured eggs. Remember, we are the end of the food chain. So we eat whatever the animals that ate before us. So we want to make sure that the egg that we're eating, the chicken had the opportunity to eat its natural feed that is in its environment, not GMO products. So here is 1 pastured egg, and here is the other pastured egg. I'm going to be honest with you. Paul and I are a team, and Paul makes all the bread, all the tortillas, all the everything to do with breads and cakes. And so this is my first time actually making this. So he said to go ahead and stir it. And Paul will not come in front of the camera. So I'm on my own here. So this feels very, very moist. It doesn't feel like, I've never done this before. So, but I have made tortillas before with flour and with corn. And it feels much more gooey. And but he assured me this were the ingredients. So I'm going to pause for a minute and put it on the sheet and spread it out to the best of my ability, and I'll be back in just a minute. Well, Paul came to the rescue and showed me how he does it. This, I want to show you Paul's notebook. This is Paul's notebook of recipes that we have tried and experimented with. And this one that I'm demonstrating is the best one we found for pizza crust. So he put the ball of dough that I had in the middle on 2 parchment sheets. And then he doesn't like using a rolling pin. He likes using a jar. And you just press and take it around. That's what my grandmother used to say to do, is to press harder on the edges and just keep going around in a circle. It is important to know these little details about how to do it. So I'm going to move it over and see how I've done on the pan. It looks good on these edges, and it looks good over here. And I need to move this down. Move this to help me. Let's see. It's not too bad. Okay, I'm going to put it in the oven and I'll be back in a minute. So even though I'm retired, I look for products that can help me provide nutrition and do it quicker and easier. And I look for things that are not food in the ingredients. And this has tomato puree, organic tomatoes, organic agave nectar, and it has only 3 grams. It has organic extra virgin olive oil, organic garlic, organic oregano, and organic parsley. So, and so there's nothing in it that my body will not recognize as food. And I'm going to make it a little bit more nutritious. I'm adding some olive oil and some Italian seasoning and oregano and some garlic. And I'm going to let this simmer for just a minute before I add the parsley and basil. I didn't have very much basil, so I got a little parsley, and I'm going to add those so that it's fresh. And I will be back with you in just a minute. Okay, I'm going to add the tomato sauce and the basil and the parsley. The research on food in our country is not reliable. Most of it is done by interest groups. So we need to turn to our bodies and to how we feel when we eat something. There is the work of Dr. Gundry, and he talks about a lot about the lectins in tomatoes. Well, the peeling that holds the lectins also holds the antioxidants. So we can't get rid of the peeling if we want the true benefit of what a tomato gives us. Also, a lot of the foods that provide vitamin C are not foods included in the mitochondrial food plan. Tomatoes are very high in vitamin C, and it is very, very important for brain health. So what I do is I do not eat tomato paste because I can feel a certain amount of soreness if I eat a lot of tomato paste in my hands. So what I suggest for you is that you make your own decision about tomatoes. I have chosen to eat tomatoes, but not tomato paste that is very, very high in lectins. So that's my take on tomatoes. So let's continue with our pizza. Here we go. And this has a little bit more than we actually need. I think that might be enough. Let's see. Now, one of the things that I avoid is garlic salt. And the reason that I avoid garlic salt is because it no longer has the fiber. And the fiber is what feeds our microbe, our 39 trillion microbes that live in and on our body that do everything for us. So it's not enough for me to eat the garlic for myself. I need to eat a little bit for my employees, my 39 trillion employees. Now that looks scrumptious. And one of the hints on one of the websites was to add just a little bit of cheese to the tomatoes before you start the toppings. So that's what I'm doing. Now, in the mitochondrial food plan, and the food plan is designed to stimulate the organelles in our cells that create energy. And the dairy is limited to no cows. We can eat goats, yak, buffalo, but no, and there's a lot of reasons for that. And this is grass-fed, we know, because all goats are grass-fed. and we eat what the goats ate. So never miss an opportunity to add nutrition. So I'm adding mushrooms. On my video on how to make a nutritious quick spaghetti, I went into an explanation of the importance of mushrooms, and they are very, very important for our immune system. So next I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of spinach on the pizza. Once again, don't miss an opportunity to add nutrition. That looks good. I tend to go crazy. And then I'm going to add, oops, let's spread this around a little bit. Add the cheese. And if you live near a Trader Joe's, this is goat mozzarella. And most of the recipes that I do, I look for affordable ways of doing things. Goat cheese, goat mozzarella cheese is a little on the high end for me. However, we don't eat pizza very often. And when we do, we want for it to be very nutritious. If you live near a Trader Joe's, they have a block of cheese. It's not mozzarella, but it has the right texture to work for a pizza. And it is at a very affordable price. And I miss Trader Joe's out here in West Texas. Wish we could bring it with us. And the next thing I do is I do uncured pepperoni. This is organic, and we don't need to be fat phobic. So I'm going to add these to the pizza, and I'm going to put it in the oven, and then we'll take a look at it when it comes out. Just look at this beautiful pizza. And what's wonderful about this is it's totally, completely nutritious. Every ingredient in here promotes brain health and reduction in inflammation. So what is the big issue with gluten? My favorite explanation comes from this book. David Perlmutter has written a whole book about it. Every functional medicine doctor talks about gluten. And I like what Catherine Shanahan writes about gluten. She says that it's not actually the gluten, that she goes back and studies ancestral foods and comes to the present. And she says, we ate wheat for thousands of years. Well, the wheat that we eat today is not the wheat that our ancestors ate. It's probably not even the wheat that your grandmother ate. In 1942, there was a hybrid made with wheat and farro, and this made it stronger, more durable, and a larger crop. And didn't stop to see what effect it would have on our bodies. And like I said, we don't have reliable research in our country. But Shanahan says that it's not the gluten, that it's how gluten is crafted today. It is a product that's gooey and sticky, and it can be crafted to just the right shape, just the amount of right crunch in the food. It can make the food totally fluffy like a cupcake. It can make things creamy and smooth, and you can keep them in the refrigerator and they don't separate and look ugly. They always look beautiful. We have removed the fiber. We have added vegetable oil, which we know is toxic to our neurons in our brain and our body, and we have added sugar. So once we put all of those ingredients, we removed the fiber, added the vegetable oil, included sugar. Now we have created the perfect storm. So this gunk, gook that ends up in our intestines, our microbes don't know what to do with it. And they take some of it and they put it around us, and it accumulates as fat. And they don't get fed. So you have 39 trillion organisms that work in and on your body and do everything for you. And 90% of the DNA working your body is not human. It belongs to these microbes. Only 10% of the DNA is yours. And without the microbes, we don't function. And that's why we're all having such a hard time. And when the microbes don't eat, you don't get a feeling of fullness. And that's one of the reasons why we overeat, because the process, the natural process that's supposed to take place is stopped by the absence of fiber, the addition of vegetable oil and sugar. So once your immune system is compromised, uh, your cytokines, your police in your body, part of your immune system, are going to be on the alert every single time you take a bite of gluten. So I hope that you will consider this as you go about your life, and consider this in nutrition. I hope you have enjoyed this presentation, and I hope you will consider avoiding gluten in your life. And if you enjoyed, please subscribe. And if you have any success reducing your glucose following these recipes, please let me know. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.